On Talking Pints is Charlie Mullins, founder of Pimlico Plumbers, and somebody who, I think if I'd met him a few years ago, we might have had a pretty heated discussion. Because, Charlie Mullins, I think you were about as opposed to Brexit as I was. By the way, cheers and welcome.
Yeah, cheers, fella.
Good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Good to have a drink with you, mate.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I think, actually it's in pubs and bars where people have proper conversations and we can agree to disagree, but do it simply. But you really, really felt very strongly on Brexit, didn't you?
Yeah, I think it was made a massive change to the country and the economy, and even now we're not going to agree on it. I think it's the wrong move, but we have no choice but to get on with it. But it's causing massive skill shortages, and there's already materials have gone up, and delays and shortages, and hell of a disruption. I don't think it's the right move, but maybe a few more pints might agree with me.
Well, we could be here a long time. I don't know. The point about skill shortages really interests me, because one of the things that I think has happened over the last 25 years or so, we've encouraged huge numbers of young people to go to university. Set targets of 50% and all the rest of it. People go to university, and in some cases they shouldn't really be going to university. They're not particularly academic. They get degrees that don't especially help them in the workplace. And
waste of time, aren't they? A lot of them.
Ologies, yeah. Or whatever they may be. They rack up debt, which they've been charged 6% on. And, the guys that work for you, the guys that work for you and work hard for you earn a pretty blooming good living.
Any good tradesman, anybody does an apprenticeship now will earn loads of money and never be out of work, that's for sure. As you say, it's an old argument, and I think people are starting to see the difference now, the massive skill shortage, and again caused by Brexit.
Hang on. The point I'm making to you is this, right? We'll come back to Brexit in a minute. We have not been encouraging our young people to go and learn trades and skills. We've almost in a snobby way, looked down at those jobs and said we don't want our kids to do it. What's wrong with us? Because actually, whether it's being in plumbing or bricklaying or whatever it is, people can earn a damn good living. What's wrong with us in this country?
Yeah, well, I just think it's a snobbish way of looking at it. It's like a class distinction thing, and you also got to remember the teachers that have gone to university are just pumping out the same thing. Get the university. Universities are not bothered. They just want bums on seats. There's no necessarily a right job at the end of it. We've got about 70 apprentices with us now, and they're doing great. And just one of them, just the other week, she finished her apprenticeship. She's out as a heating engineer now, earning loads of money. Yeah. And she's buying her own house already, and she's sort of 20 years of age. So, yourself, you go to university, they often never wind up getting their house for many, many years. So it's not necessarily the right move. I just think you need more people promoting it.
So the skill shortages, how many, as a percentage of your workforce, how many of those would be overseas nationals?
How many would be what?
How many would be overseas nationals? How many of your workforce would be foreign by birth?
Maybe 5%.
Oh, quite low.
Yeah, very, very low. But the fact that it doesn't affect us, it does affect the general construction industry in general, that there's a massive shortage of skilled tradesmen because they're obviously not coming over no more. So it doesn't.
But let's train our own people.
Well, I was going to say, you must have read my script. That's the obvious thing we have to do more and more now. We've got, as youngsters leave school, they've got to either, unfortunately, go to university, have a job to go to, or go straight into a government-funded apprenticeship scheme. And that's the only way we will sort out the skill shortage.
Well, I have to say, Charlie, I very much hope that we do that, because I feel we became too dependent on foreign labour, and I think by the way, university, for the right people, of course they should go. Right people who are academic, people who need it, want to be doctors, whatever they want to do. Yeah, of course they should go.
That's right, but yourself, I don't want to be disrespectful to some people, but they go to university and they wind up stacking shelves in Tesco's or working in McDonald's, and got a degree which is just no value to them. And then as you say, the massive debt that's there, and also got to look at long term. I think the way that the skill shortage is now is, if you think plumbers are expensive now, just wait for another 3 or 4. You look like that then, Nigel.
Well, your prices, come on.
No, but you pay for quality. People will always pay for a good service, and in plumbing, cheapness is the dearest. Are you very sort of hands-on?
And I'd rather have one of your boys come and do it. No, I would. Of course I would. I take the view if I try to do anything with plumbing, I'd make such a mess of it, I wouldn't take that risk. I would not personally take that risk.
But you also got to remember, you say we're expensive. I mean, the fact that we turn up on time, we're smart outfit, you get the job done, we're very transparent, and your work's guaranteed. I mean, how is that expensive? Are you agreeing with me? I'm not sure.
No, I'm just saying that there is a perception that it's expensive, but I was teasing you a bit.
Yeah, but...
you've done well, you've made a lot of money, haven't you?
Well, the business has done very well. I mean, we're turning over 50 mil. It's been a record year. And
despite Brexit. I thought Brexit was a disaster, Charlie. It doesn't sound too bad to me.
Well, it's going to be a disaster, I think, for many other businesses. But already, as I say, materials have gone up. We're waiting long for them. There's a massive shortage and the skill shortage thing. So, we're not out of the woods yet, are we? And you know yourself, there's more worrying things at the moment to worry about than Brexit.
Well, there is. So on Brexit, it's done. You didn't like it, but we now.
Yeah, look, we have to get on with it, and we'll never agree on it. And one of us is wrong, and it's not me.
Well, I have to tell you, is that European lager you're drinking there?
Yeah.
Well, I've got
cheap and cheerful.
English bitter for me. No, we won't agree on it. But the great thing, I think, is, we've had a great big row in this country over Brexit. A row that went on for year after year after year, which I think was quite debilitating in a way, because all government, all Parliament focused on was this row to the complete exclusion of everything else. And the fact that's over is great. However, that has been replaced by the pandemic.
Oh, blimey, yeah.
Now, you think Brexit's worse than the pandemic, don't you?
No, I'm not going to say that. No. I think it was quoted that. It's not worse, but
you were misquoted on that, perhaps.
Yeah, obviously people have died, and millions of people or thousands of people have died, and it's the worst thing we've ever experienced in our lifetime. And hopefully it's going to change now, and we get through it. But we're not out of the woods yet, as you know. But
your business was an essential business.
That's right. We carried on. We've been busiest year ever. Yeah. Throughout the pandemic, and we've been working all the way through it, and we geared ourselves up, and I think customers realised that we engineers were going out there and taking regular tests and masks and sanitation and footwear, and fortunately we was in that position to do it, and the fact that more and more people have been at home, more and more problems were there. It's just unfortunate that our business has gone great, but so many businesses have suffered.
Well, this is the point I was making last night here, is that it's the private sector that have paid the cost for this. It's privately owned businesses that have paid the cost for all of this, because the public sector, people aren't going to lose their jobs or lose their pensions, but a lot of people have been really hurting. A lot of non-essentials have been hurting really, really badly. And it's almost like the final insult of all of this is, just as we're told that Freedom Day's coming, it's all going to be great, and yet, because of this the pingdemic, as
what a nightmare that's been, isn't it?
And, I read a piece this morning from the boss of Iceland. They got stores all there. They've actually had to close stores.
Down, yeah.
It's unbelievable.
No, you're right. We've actually got more people off now than in the worst part of the pandemic. We've actually got more off now because they're being pinged like for nothing, and they're taking regular tests. Some of our guys are tested on a regular basis, but obviously they've got to go along with what they're being told and self-isolate. We would normally lose on a sort of Monday 10 to 20%. We're now sort of 30 to 40% people that we're losing.
You're losing a third of your workforce.
Yeah, and again they're saying is that I feel good, I'm testing regular, but they've got to follow the guidelines, and thank God we have got guidelines, but it's so disruptive. I don't think it's helping anything, and with the more and more people that have had the jabs, I presume you've had yours.
I have. No, I'm not an anti-vaxxer or anything like that.
No, I think you just look like one.
Well, being I'm a Brexiteer, of course, I've got my problems, but no, seriously, this is disastrous, and I cannot for the life of me understand why. If somebody gets a ping, let's say, because they've been near someone that's tested positive, why can't they simply take a lateral flow test? And if they've been double vaccinated, get on with work. And I don't understand this, because we saw this thing at the weekend where Sajid Javid tested positive. We got the results Saturday night. Boris then says he's going to go back to work. 2 hours, 38 minutes later, he U-turns and says he's going to isolate in Chequers, and it's all over the shop. And I just think they got that messaging wrong. Do you, I mean, you've got a hell of a profile as a businessman. You really have. And it's interesting. As a country, not many business figures do have a big profile. You're one of the ones that does. Do you try and lobby government on these things? How do you try and influence?
Well, of course. I mean, myself come up with, the no jab, no job, and got a lot of stick at the time, and the government was even knocking us. I think it was the health minister at the time was knocking us, and it's all unnecessary because now it's proven point that there's no other way. We're not being offered any other way to get through the pandemic other than the jab. Yeah. It's definitely working, even though obviously cases are going up. But fortunately, the death toll is nowhere near like the 1500s that it used to be at.
It's about 5% of that.
Yeah, well, but that's obviously only due to the fact of the people who are having a jab. And
I think it's the jab. I think perhaps also this strain may not be as virulent. I mean, I know there could be lots of reasons, but most people say it is the jab.
Well, it's got to be the jab. I mean, why would it not be that?
The stats do back that up.
And I think it's 60% of people that are going in hospital now have not had the jab. Nobody's saying you can't still get it. It's proven you can still get it, but it's certainly not as severe as what it was. And by the way, I've had my jab. I mean, there was a delay on it because I was out of the country, but couldn't wait to have it done and feel so much more safer and secure with it. And at the end of the day, it's all about people's safety, customer safety, employees' safety, and just the general public in general.
Yeah, I mean, the truth of it is that most adults over 50, the vast majority have had 2 jabs. Yeah. There are 1 or 2 that object on for reasons of principle, who don't feel happy about it or worried about the side effects of it. But I get it. For people over 50. The balance of risk is that you're much more likely to get all through COVID than you are to have any reaction to the jab. But and I was talking to a head teacher earlier, because again they've got a similar problem with isolate. I mean, a million kids off school. I mean, you can't even believe it. But I mean, mathematically, statistically, this disease does not pose a great problem to children at all. I mean, it is absolutely minute. Do you think we should vaccinate school kids as well? I feel uncomfortable about that. I feel uncomfortable that I get it that we vaccinate people that could really suffer very badly and be very, very ill. But we kind of know that kids aren't going to be ill. Do we really want to vaccinate?
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, I'm not going to...
Difficult one, isn't it?
I'm not going to put my head on the block here and say...
No, well, listen, we're having a conversation about...
What I'm saying, I think we should take the advice of the health ministers and the scientists, and we're being told the vaccine is going to help us, and they're spreading it through the different ages, as you know now, because getting more and more youngsters because of the nightclubs having it done. I think we just got to take their advice on it. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that if we didn't have the jab now, I wouldn't be here now. Wouldn't have been at Wembley the other day.
You were there, were you? I was there too.
Yeah, I went a little in, but it was great. Was you there?
Yeah, I was. I mean, it was inside the ground was fantastic. Outside the ground, it was a bit. Yeah. Wasn't good, was it? I mean, one or too many of these, I think. But I couldn't get it. I mean, if you're going to kick off at 8 o'clock on a Sunday, what do you think people are going to do?
Well, that's right. I mean,
I thought that was crackers,
Yeah, but look, at the end of the day, we got there, and the good news is, I think it's been a great morale boost for all over the country, and let's enjoy the moment.
No, it was great. I agree with you. It was absolutely great. I mean, it did start off with controversy, the whole taking the knee business, and a lot of England fans didn't like it. And then I noticed towards in the later games, the taking the knee gesture happened very quickly, and the fans didn't want to boo their own team. But were you for them taking the knee?
Was I what, sorry?
For the footballers taking the knee, making a political gesture. I didn't like it.
Yeah, look, personally, I think it just, sort of stirs up problems and it's unnecessary. But again, what people decide to do is up to them.
Yeah, it was a difficult one, wasn't it? I mean, Southgate, he stuck to his guns. I didn't really agree with him. He stuck to his guns. And I have to say, that football team, the way they actually generally carry themselves and the way they behave, they're good role models, aren't they?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think that the downside was the racist abuse that happened afterwards, which is totally unnecessary. And I think that set us back many years. And... it just shouldn't be. I mean, there would have been heroes if they scored and they want to string them up.
But you'd have got abused whoever you were, I think, if you missed penalties. But look,
it's so wrong. Why are we a nation of keep knocking people when rather than sort of supporting them and congratulating them?
I think. Do you know what? The Americans celebrate success. And we're really good at knocking it. And I think you've had a fair bit of knocking copy over the years, and I've had plenty as well. So what next for Charlie Mullins? Do you just go on with Pimlico Plumbers, keep going?
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, I have to say we're very busy, and fortunately the company's very successful, and it's continuing to grow, and we're recruiting people and more apprentices coming on board. We also do, you know, a nice bit of charity work.
Yeah.
I'm just going to slip it in. We're helping a young girl at the moment, Chloe, that's suffering with cancer, and
Good for you.
you know, I think all that type of thing makes the business, you know, something that I'm proud of, and proud of the people that work for me. The knockers, you know, I mean, the haters are always going to hate me, and the people that like me are always going to like me.
Well, Charlie, thanks for coming in, mate. Well, Charlie Mullins and I, it was pretty civil, wasn't it? I mean, there's no fisticuffs. The Brexit wars, whatever we thought of it, are over, and that is a very good thing.
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows, and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.